Welcome into another episode of the Gridiron Grind. Creta and Jimmy. Jimmy, what's happening, buddy?
Man, it's almost Saturday, Creta. It's almost Saturday.
Almost Saturday. We're getting it to you a day later. I was a little preoccupied yesterday. Was able to knock down a buck, fill my buck tag.
Heck yeah.
Pretty pumped about it. It was a big dude. It was only a 6-pointer, but he was an older, big body.
Good deal.
There'll be a lot of meat on him. So anyway, so that's that, and a lot to talk about today. Cowboys have the off week, so we'll get into. Of course, they have the Packers, but college football was it was a pretty exciting weekend. It was a heck of a weekend to sit down and watch some college football. You had 3 top 6 teams lose: Tennessee, Clemson, Alabama. Tennessee won, and Clemson 4, and then Alabama 6. They all go down. Unfortunately, your mighty Hogs went down.
Yeah. I was there for that one, man. That was rough. I was telling people before the game, they are the 23rd ranked team. They're 7-1, 23rd ranked team in the nation. I go, we should still beat them. I go, but if we come out like this isn't, yes, it's a non-conference game. This isn't your typical SEC non-conference game where we're playing, Norfolk State.
Yeah,
I was like, I said, we fell behind 17-0 to Missouri State. We just flat out had better players that finally took over. I go, if we fall behind to Liberty, I don't know if we can get out of the hole. And sure enough, we didn't.
Yeah, I'll say this: it was a crazy day for Texas because here's why. Texas obviously won, beat Kansas State, kept their Big 12 title chances alive. Sarkisian actually got a victory on the road. But, everybody, like, they did that poll, and it was like 12 schools said Texas was their number one rival. I've always said Texas has, like, 3 rivals. Their true rival is Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said, though, the other 2 are 100% Texas A&M and Arkansas. Of course, Arkansas now, it's different. We're not in the same conference.
Mm-hmm.
I bet that picks back up. We get in the same conference.
Yeah.
But if you hear the old guys talk, Texas, Arkansas was a big deal in South. And it was a big deal. We went to the game last year.
Yeah.
But anyway, Texas won Saturday, and their 3 rivals all lost. Arkansas, Oklahoma, A&M. Doesn't get much better than that.
Jerk.
What a coincidence, Someone said that, in the Astros, they were doing like it was like one of those meters where it gets better, like Oklahoma lost, Oklahoma and A&M lost, Oklahoma, A&M, and Arkansas lost. The Astros won the World Series. Like, so if you were an Astros fan, Saturday was one of the best. Astros and Longhorn fan, which a lot of people are. So anyway, new college football playoff rankings are out. You got Georgia number 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU get some love. They're number 4. I think they deserve it. They fell behind again, but as they've done all year, they come back. They are the best second half team, maybe one of the best for sure. I mean, they bring it in the second half, and they overcame an early deficit to Tech to get the victory. So it's playoff picture starting to pan out. Alabama's, I think, definitely out of it now. Heck, they're not even going to make that SEC championship game.
No, because what's crazy is if LSU beats us on Saturday and Alabama beats Ole Miss, LSU goes to Atlanta.
Yep.
So, and that's crazy to think that LSU first-year coach Brian Kelly has got a pretty good opportunity to go to the SEC championship game his first year in Baton Rouge. It's a pretty good coaching job. Better than I thought he was going to be.
Me too. And that just goes to show you that dude can coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was at, Central Michigan.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And then Notre Dame. I mean, he's won about as high as you can win at those schools where he's been at. Central Michigan, they won the conference, I believe. He's won the conference. Of course, Notre Dame didn't have a conference. But if he somehow LSU wins it, beats Georgia, he'll have won the conference. Of course, when he was actually at Notre Dame, they won they made the conference championship that one year in 2020 when they had to play in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Clemson ended up beating them in the championship. But anyway, so that dude can coach. He can coach. This week, you're looking at 4 ranked matchups. You got number 9, Alabama at number 11, Ole Miss. Ole Miss getting 12 points. Number 22, UCF at number 17, Tulane. Tulane favored by a point. UCF gets their quarterback back this week, the Plumlee guy from Ole Miss. He's been injured. He comes back this week, though. 25, Washington at 6, Oregon. Oregon favored by 13. Oregon's been rolling. I mean, they're rolling ever since that opening thumping they got from Georgia. And then the game I'm going to be at Saturday night, number 4 TCU at number 18 Texas. Texas favored by a touchdown over a top 4 team. Crazy stat, Texas has not beat a top 5 team at DKR since 1999. I believe it was Nebraska was the last time they beat a top 5 team.
You know that was a long time ago if Nebraska was in the top 5.
Yeah.
Golly.
I believe it was Nebraska. So anyway. So Ole Miss plus 12. Alabama. I have a theory about the back-to-back road games. 12's a lot of points. I don't know.
12's a lot of points when your kids, everybody who's not a coach, a lot of people don't like this statement when it's made, but I'm going to make it because I believe it's real. 12 points is a lot when you're not sure how motivated those kids in the Crimson Tide jerseys are going to be. They're done, right? They're not going to be able to make playoffs.
When Nick Saban's team can't play for a national championship, which usually doesn't happen until the bowl game, because the other times they hadn't had a chance to play for a national championship, they got beat by Auburn. So then the next game was a bowl game, and they always get shut, and you hear some kind of excuse or whatever. But you're right. They don't. This would be interesting. This is as early as I can remember an Alabama team not having something to play for.
Yeah, essentially since he took over, since 2007.
Yeah, the first year they were 6 and 7 or whatever they were,
and then they got penalized 4 games, so they ended up technically 2 and 7 or something like that because of Mike Shula. But I don't know how motivated Alabama is going to be. 12 points is a lot when the guy on the other side hates you because you left him. You told the bus to take off and leave when he was your OC. And I would not be surprised if Ole Miss covered that just out of spite.
I mean, I can see it. Crazy to me, Lane Kiffin's rumored for the Auburn job. I don't even know why he would consider the Auburn job.
Wouldn't go to Auburn right now.
Why?
That's crazy.
I'd rather be Ole Miss.
Yeah, 100%.
But I keep hearing his name. I mean, why go from Ole Miss to Auburn?
I don't know that much about Auburn. I don't know financially. It's not like we're talking, he's at Southern Miss.
Yeah.
Like that, like he's at Ole Miss. I would argue an equal school, maybe equal money. Auburn may have a little bit more money, but I'm sitting here going, I mean, it's a better job at Ole Miss right now. You're better off at Ole Miss right now.
Yeah. But also, Nick Saban, it'll be interesting to see if he was going to retire, which he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that ever wants to retire. I think he probably wants to coach until, they force him out or until
health reasons or something.
Yeah, until he's just gone, 6 under. That makes him quit. But this might be a good time to get out because you're losing Bryce Young after this year. You're losing all those defensive guys. I mean, you're going to have to start over with a new core.
Yeah, and it ain't as easy to recruit as it has been.
Yeah, NIL is leveling the playing field, and not only that, I heard somebody finally say it this week that you've said for all year. Georgia's the new Bama, so you're not the Alabama anymore. It's Georgia. We want Bama, now people can start saying we want Georgia. So, I mean, you got to contend with that.
Yeah, you already
Texas, Oklahoma coming in. I mean, Texas with an SEC brand, who knows what happens, but
well, that's what you and I talked about when the expansion talk was going, and A&M was going around trying to get Arkansas and Missouri and all these lower tier teams to vote no. I go, those aren't the ones I said. One, you're not going to get Arkansas to vote no because the rivalry we talked about. But I go, the guys you could get to vote no potentially would be Alabama, LSU, Georgia, because they don't want to have to recruit against Texas and Oklahoma, coming into the SEC. So I'm just, going back to your point. I would love to place, I'd love to throw $10 on the Vegas line if there was one on Saban retiring, because the odds have got to be crazy, because I don't see it happening. But it's going to be tough the way that recruiting's going paired with NIL. Like we've said, that A&M class should show you've got to embrace NIL. Coach K basketball had to embrace the one and done. He watched Calipari have tons of success, finally opened his arms and did it, had tons of success there at Duke with the one and done. I think Alabama and them, they're going to have to embrace this NIL thing, because Saban walking into your house used to be done, right? Holy crap, Nick Saban's here, it's done. Now it's, well, coach, that's great, but, I can also go to
Georgia.
Well, Georgia and get paid.
Just won a national championship. And if they win another one this year,
Yeah. And now it's, it's a business. It's become way more of a business than I think any of the traditionalists would like, because now it's not about the education. The name on the piece of paper doesn't matter anymore for these kids. It's, can you get me to the league, and can you make my life comfortable before I get there, while I'm on the way? So, yeah, good luck. Good luck, Alabama.
I've talked to college baseball coaches who they don't, like, one of them, he's out. He's like in his upper 40s.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't two of them are out. One's retired, but he's in his 70s. I mean, he's done. And they both said the same thing. And the other guy, he's like 45, I want to say. He's out. And he's like, this isn't what I want to do. It's just the way things are done now with NIL. And this was college baseball. Both of them were D1 college baseball. And like, it's crazy how you have to operate now. And he's like, I'd rather coach high school. I'd rather go do a high school or go do a summer select team. It's just too much of a headache to coach these kids now with the transfer portal and NIL.
Yeah, well, what was the video? Was it Texas, where the defensive lineman recorded the defensive line coach on the rant on the bus, where he was
last year.
Last year after OU or something.
Davis was the coach. Yeah, after losing to Iowa State. Yeah,
that was Iowa State. I'm going. He's 100% correct. He's like, y'all kids want to threaten to transfer? Do it. I don't care. He goes, y'all don't listen, and it's my fault. He goes, they're going to tell me it's my fault. It's my fault y'all can't make plays. And you know what? I'm going to lose my job over this. They're going to fire me because y'all can't play football. And that's, like I've said all along, Sarkisian, half the battle's getting him to commit, the other half's getting him to campus. Now, once you get him to campus, they are going to side for over art. They will fire you in a heartbeat.
They never said who recorded it, but they've only said was he is no longer on the team. Like, after the season, was like, so he was one of the many that transferred. So
sure,
I think it worked out for the better.
But yeah, I mean, the coach wasn't wrong. Just going back to the point. So it's a new breed.
And I will say, Bo Davis, defensive line has played way better for Texas this year. So
I'll tell you what, if Saban walking into your living room, it's still got to move the needle. He's still Nick Saban.
You would think so. I know if Nick Saban was recruiting my dad, my dad would sign with him.
Heartbeat.
The problem is, my dad's in his 60s, so I don't know if he's got any eligibility left.
I'll tell you what, A&M and Georgia keep taking recruits. He might, they might call your dad up.
Well, you know what I mean? I feel like people that are infatuated with Nick Saban, I don't know how young kids, are they still infatuated just like Nick Saban, or is he just part of it? It's like, I get this much NIL, and I get to play for Nick Saban.
To me, I'm like, I know how I would do, but I'm old school. Like, I'd be like, I'd want to play for the coach. I'd want to play for the coach, or to be able to say I got a degree from this university. Now I think it is NIL. I think is part of it. If you're good enough to get an NIL deal, I think you almost want to find the best of both worlds. So like Alabama may be the best place for you football wise, but not NIL wise. So you may go, hey, you know what? I'll go to Ole Miss and make $100,000. And yeah, we may not win the national championship, but I'm going to make money and I'll still probably go to the league.
And I'd say, I played college baseball. I was recruited by schools, and I signed with two different schools, junior college for 2 years, and I signed with a 4-year school after that. And both times I signed with who I signed with because, the main reasons were the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
The junior college, my senior year of high school, they won the national championship. But the coach, Ray Birmingham, who went on to coach at the University of New Mexico, he could teach a Martian how to hit with a fungo. Like, that's what people used to say about him. He was the best hitting coach there was. And I wanted to become a better hitter, and they were really good. And this guy just had a way of connecting with dudes and teaching them how to hit, a way of teaching hitting. So I was like, yeah, that's where I want to. So that I chose because of him. Angelo State, same thing. The assistant coach who recruited me loved him. One of the best people I ever met. And I was like, I want to play with this. Angelo State was a winning team, and they just made the World Series. So I was like, well, maybe it was both factors. They're good, and I love the coach. So yeah, that's why I picked the two.
Yeah, and now, and I do feel
programs, and then I love the coach.
And I feel for kids too, and I think the transfer portal. One thing I do like about it is your scenario right there. All right, you're recruiting me to come play, and I like you. The university's okay. Yeah, it's a good time, but you're who I want to play for. I get there, then you get fired or you go take a bigger job. Well, that sucks. I wouldn't even come here if it wasn't for you. So you leave. I can see players following a coach. I like that. Like, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, so maybe they still do. Maybe he does, but it's interesting. He's got more competition, I think.
Way more than he has in the last decade. That's for sure.
So it's interesting to see what Alabama looks like the next 5 years. So anyway, sticking with college football, we'll play a little game before we move on. Talk about the Cowboys. A little true or false. I came up with 3 questions for you on the true or false. Question number 1. I was thinking about this after Georgia beat Tennessee. True or false, Tennessee will make the playoff?
I think true.
I do too.
I think true, and it depending on the rest of your questions, the reason I think true may have something to do with the rest of your questions.
Well, also, they might be in a better position losing to Georgia to make the playoff because they don't have to go win an SEC championship game now.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can do what Alabama did when they won it, when Tua saved the day in 2017. Got beat in they got beat by Auburn. Auburn played Georgia in the SEC championship. Georgia won that game. So Alabama got to go to the playoff without even having to play in the SEC championship game. I think that's what's going to happen to Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to be the best one-loss team. They'll get in without having to play in the SEC championship game.
I agree. I think is the biggest reason, I think, because I think they'll be ranked high enough when TCU loses. I don't believe TCU will win out. And I feel like I don't think it's fair to TCU, but I think one loss for TCU is going to –
I agree with you.
They're not going to plummet out of the top 10, but they're going to fall out of contention, and Tennessee's going to be right there.
Tennessee way more credit for beating LSU in Alabama than TCU gets
beating all those ranked teams, 4 ranked teams in a row. Yeah. I think TCU –
if TCU wins out, obviously they're in.
Well, my prediction. I told you this after we got going the last several weeks. I've told you, I said, Texas.
I think this matches up great for Texas.
Texas is going to give the Big 12 one last big middle finger. They did it with the Longhorn Network. They did it by leaving, and now they're going to give one big middle finger to the Big 12 one more time and go, we're going to keep y'all out of the playoffs, and then we're going to bounce. So, yeah, I think Texas beats TCU. And that's how I think Tennessee, maybe not Texas, but I think TCU loses one game.
TCU has at Texas, at Baylor, back to back,
Mm-hmm.
and so we'll see. But the
And I think that's how
Pac-12,
Tennessee gets in.
the Pac-12 is having a tremendous season. There are some good
Yeah.
teams, and this is the first time you can say about the Pac-12. They have by far, in my opinion, and I think most people's opinion, have been the weakest of the Power Five for a while.
Yeah.
They've
You,
got four legit teams out there, and you can even throw Washington as number 5, and Oregon State is at number 6. I wouldn't name another sixth-place team in another conference. I think Oregon State probably beats them. But I mean,
yeah. Oregon State's tough.
dude, they got Oregon undefeated in conference. Only loss was a shellacking against Georgia, and then they got UCLA has 1 loss, USC has 1 loss, Utah has 2 losses. Utah might be one of the best 2-loss teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So Utah is probably out of it with 2 losses. They ain't putting a Pac-12 team with 2 losses, but
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, UCLA, and USC all have 1 loss. But does the Pac-12 get snubbed again from the playoff? If one of those teams wins it, they're doing divisionalists, so the top 2 play in the championship. So USC and UCLA play next week. If Oregon survives Washington, which they're favored by 13, it'll probably end up being Oregon and either USC, the winner of USC, UCLA next week.
I think if so.
But like my thing is, if Oregon ends up winning it, people are going to remember they got beat by 50 by Georgia, and it's like, well, they already lost by 50 to one playoff team.
So this is right.
Pac-12 gets snubbed. Let's say it's a heck of a conference. Finishes. It's been a heck of a conference all year, and let's say Oregon, UCLA, USC finished with 1 loss. Do they get left out?
I think if TCU loses. So then
say TCU loses.
So we've got Georgia, Ohio State.
So basically, let's say you have
Michigan, and TCU.
Let's say I think Michigan's better than Ohio State from what I've seen the last couple of weeks. So let's say Michigan beats Ohio State. You're going to have 1 loss Ohio State, 1 loss Tennessee. Let's say 1 loss TCU with the Big 12 championship, and then a 1 loss Oregon, USC, UCLA. So basically, you'd have, what is that, 4 teams to decide 2 spots. Oh, and also you'd have a 1 loss Clemson. So that's 5.
So I think
you'd have 5 for 2 spots. We'll say Georgia's 1, Michigan's 2.
So I think that's a nightmare scenario for the Big 12 and the Pac-12 trying to get in because I agree. I think Ohio State's going to get in.
I don't think Clemson gets in.
And Clemson's out. I think Clemson's out. So I think they'll stick. I think in your scenario, it'll be Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Tennessee. Okay, so I think the best scenario for the Pac-12 is Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, because Ohio State would beat Michigan, so Michigan fall. You'd have Tennessee.
Have you need Michigan to. What you need is Michigan to slip up to like Illinois next week. Which is probably unlikely, but that's the best team either one of those 2 schools play. You need Michigan to lose Illinois, and then either beat Ohio State and lose in the Big Ten championship, or go ahead and lose Ohio State, and they'd be out.
I think the only Pac-12 team that'll get in would be USC.
I could see that too.
Beat USC. I think it's got to be USC, and it's one of those. Everyone
was a last-second loss on the road at Utah.
No one believes this, but Trey, there's examples we could go over. Don't have enough time.
ADs on the committee deciding this stuff.
Yep. It's money,
marketing,
and they're going. USC's a big brand. UCLA's basketball school. UCLA's not going to travel. Oregon maybe, but I think it's got to be USC or Oregon. But I think people would do exactly what you said. Like, yeah, but they lost by 50. Well, it was the beginning of the season. Yeah, maybe. USC's a bigger name. I think for the Pac-12 to get in, it's got to be USC.
That's why TCU fans don't want to hear this. But if Texas was in TCU scenario, and they end up with the Big 12 championship and 1 loss, Texas probably definitely 100% gets in because
100%
brand and the money.
It's the brand, and it is, and no one likes to hear that.
TCU's like a small private school.
It is, yeah.
No,
they're not going to sell the shirts. They're not going to travel. They don't have the T-shirt fans,
and they'll travel well, but they won't travel to the extent USC will travel.
USC,
Tennessee,
Texas, Tennessee,
Ohio State. I mean, they won't be the same impact.
Right.
Those schools bring.
Yeah, TCU's gonna have to win out in order to make the playoffs.
Well, the last true or false. So we agree. True, the Pac-12 probably gets snubbed.
Mm-hmm.
TCU loses 2 of their next 3 regular season games. At Texas, at Baylor, hosting Iowa State.
I don't think they lose 2 of them. I definitely don't think they go undefeated.
Yeah. I'm
I
gonna say
think they
true.
lose.
I think they lose Texas, at Baylor.
I think they lose one of them for sure.
I think one's almost a lock.
And if they lose
Baylor's
one,
peaking at the right time.
and that's what you
And
see it.
if they beat Texas in a slugfest shootout, like TCU's going to be up for this game,
Mm-hmm.
so be prepared for this one. But you go through a war with Texas and you give it all you got, and TCU beats Texas, then you got to go play Baylor. I mean, I don't know about
Yeah, that's ripe for an upset after the big emotional win in Austin, and it's in Austin too.
That's why I think Texas wins this game, and then I think Baylor's going to beat TCU regardless because of the emotional letdown.
You can only come back so many times. You can only be down and come back so many times before you finally get bit. And I think the schedule that TCU, I mean, if they go undefeated, they're in. That just is unbelievable.
Absolutely, and as they would deserve it,
and they deserved it 100%. But you just cannot constantly fall behind with a schedule like that and expect for it not to bite you at some point. And I think they get bit some point before the end of the season.
Yep, I agree. NFL, Tom Brady able to come back last week. Finally, he files the paperwork, and boom, signs of old Tom Brady. Maybe that's all he needed. I think the Bucs will win that division, even though they're 4-5. That division stinks.
Yeah.
And
now they've got old Tom Brady back.
They get old Tom Brady back, getting ready to go for the postseason.
I feel bad for his kids. They had to buy Madden just to be able to spend some time with him.
That's harsh.
That is harsh. They had to play as the Buccaneers just to see their dad.
Just to see their dad.
Yeah.
Cowboys bye week, travel to the Frozen Tundra. The Packers are terrible. They lost to the Lions of all people last week. Rodgers is having a terrible season. I think he threw 3 picks last week. But it's still Aaron Rodgers. It's still the Packers. It still scares the crap out of me. I don't know why. I have so many nightmares of what Aaron Rodgers has done to the Cowboys.
Yeah. It's still Aaron Rodgers. My wife. Still Aaron Rodgers, and you're right. And it's one of those. Look how they've been kind of trending downward, and look what he did to Chicago. Right? He what'd he say? What'd he say to Chicago? I still own you. Yeah. Still did the championship belt. I still own you. It's one of those until we beat Aaron Rodgers. I gun to my head. I'm betting Packers. Because it's still Aaron Rodgers.
Dez caught it. The throw he made to beat Dak his first year in 2016.
What was the guy's name? Watson, Jared Cook.
Yeah.
I'm just those type of plays. Rodgers is one of those dudes who plays up. He's one of those quarterbacks that plays up against certain teams. He's a Hall of Famer, and we are one of those teams that Aaron Rodgers loves to beat.
It scares me, dude.
Yeah,
I have nightmares. Aaron Rodgers nightmares. I know they're terrible this year, and he's playing terrible, but it just scares me.
Yeah,
This is that stretch, though. This is that stretch of games after the bye. We're at Packers, at Vikings, Giants for Thanksgiving. This will let you. These 3 games, decide what the Cowboys' fate is this season.
And that's what we talked about. We said, you'll know how good this Cowboys team is. I don't care. We went 4-1 with a backup.
Yeah.
This stretch, these 3 games right here, if we go 3-0, we're probably
I think we'll have a chance to win the division because
we'll have a chance to win the division and go
up at least once, and then we'll have an opportunity to beat them in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
if we go 2-1, I'll be happy.
I'll be happy. I don't think we'd win the division, but
I'll take it. I'll take 2-1 in that stretch.
We'll be the top wild card seed and see what happens. But yeah, got to win the first one. So Packers Sunday.
Ugh.
Still don't know if Zeke's going to be 100% or if he's going to play or not. So we'll find
I,
out about that.
I like Pollard. I at least like what we've got with Pollard.
Yeah.
Very capable backup, and that's one thing. In a lot of positions, we're not very deep, right? We're not very deep at wide receiver. We're not very deep at running back. We got a little bit of depth on the defensive line. We're good at running back. I like that. We know quarterback. Don't even have to really mention that. But like I like our backup Pollard.
We need to draft a big time receiver. CeeDee Lamb is just not. I'm
Mm-mm.
not convinced he's a number one.
Nope. We talked about that.
I think he's the best number 2 in the league,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if he's a number 1.
And Gallup's
Gallup can
come
be the
back.
best number 3 in the league,
Yeah.
but we need a number 1.
In the NFL, we've seen it with what the Rams were trying to do, what the Chiefs did. You got to win. You got to get these. You got to get a quarterback. Starts there. You got to throw all the money you can everywhere else around him to win while under that rookie contract.
Yep.
Because you can't afford anything else around him once you got to pay the quarterback, and it's still a quarterback driven league. We've got we paid Dak, we got Zeke, we got Pollard, but I love whoever's in charge of drafting running backs and tight ends in our organization. Now, if we can go get whoever's in charge of drafting wide receivers for the Steelers,
oh yeah,
we got something because they don't miss on wide receivers, and we hadn't missed lately on tight ends and running backs. Like I said, Pollard. I am super happy with Tony Pollard. Love our, like I said, love the tight ends. I think we've done a good job building some depth. We need to draft a big time wide receiver, like you said. And I also think we need to find lightning in a bottle again and try to get another running back, because I like Zeke. I still think Zeke's one of the best running backs in the league, but it's a money game now. Hey, we got Pollard. We can franchise tag him, probably pay him a little bit less than what we gave you, Zeke. Let's go draft the next Tony Pollard and put him back there. And like I said, I'll hate to see Zeke go when he finally does, but it's a money game.
Yep. All right, looking forward to it. Cowboys at the Packers, 3:25 start on Fox. Get into the picks. Wrap up the show with our picks. I had a solid week. Jimmy,
no, not so much.
3-2. I went 3-2. I'm 32-21 on the season. Jimmy 1-4. So he's 30-24 on the season. That is a winning record.
I'm still up, but man, I tell you what, I couldn't do nothing on Saturday. Couldn't do nothing. Yeah. Win one, lose one, lose two, win one. I mean, just oh, this one's looking good. Oh, they score late.
Yeah.
North Carolina, man, I'm about done with them.
I know. That was a brutal one.
That one hurt. I'm about done with them.
Could have covered that one. Yeah. Well, I got 5 college ones for you. I feel good about it. I like it. I like the board. So let's see. Usually when I love the board, I usually have a losing record. So take that with a grain of salt, but I do like the board. I'm going to start off my first one. The Houston Cougars. Did you see the score of this game last Saturday? I wasn't really keeping up with it, but I saw the score. Houston lost at SMU like 76-67 was the final. It was something in there.
I wish I had the over in that.
Yeah, no kidding. Outrageous. Houston is hosting Temple. Temple is terrible. Houston's going to score whatever they want on them. Temple struggles to score. So I feel confident laying a big number with the Cougars. Give me Houston minus 20 at home.
Woo-hoo.
Temple. I like it.
Okay. I'm going to start out. I'm going to audible here last minute. I was going to pick Miami, Georgia Tech, but I'm going Appalachian State at Marshall. Appalachian State's favored by 1. I think Appalachian State's the better team. Marshall did good. They beat Notre Dame. Marshall just beat Old Dominion 12-0. That's Old Dominion. This isn't basketball. That was football.
Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Open the season.
Before that, they lost to Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm like, they This has Appalachian State, Appalachian State covering that all over it. Give me Appalachian State -1.
Do you think the Sun Belt is better than the ACC this year?
Yeah, I do. Now, they got Clemson, right? They may have like, quote, better athletes, but neither one. I don't think the ACC would want to drop down and let's just go one
Think
on
about how
one.
many good teams are in the Sun Belt. Marshall, App State, Coastal Carolina, Old Dominion,
I
Georgia
mean,
State.
yeah, they have a bunch of teams that you're like, yeah, I don't really want to play these guys. Or if you play them, you go, guys, we got to stomp them early. We
Yeah.
can't let them hang around.
I don't know if any of those teams are beating Clemson or
No.
North Carolina or even Florida State. I think those are the three best teams. NC State is pretty good. Wake Forest is pretty good. But there's 14 teams. I guarantee you those Sun Belt teams I just mentioned, they beat the bottom five in the bottom five in the ACC.
I can see it.
It's not a good league. My opinion, it's the worst league this year. Big Ten. If Big Ten didn't have Ohio State and Michigan, who do they have this year? I mean, Penn State.
Illinois. That's
good.
it.
Illinois. I mean,
Northwestern's terrible. Like just
Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan State. They're all bad. Maryland, Wisconsin, Rutgers. They're all bad. Big Ten is a weak league this year, but they do have two of the best two teams in the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very top. The Pac-12, deep. But their bottom is really bad. Their bottom's the worst. Colorado, Arizona. The Big 12, top to bottom. Big 12 has no bad teams.
Yeah, not this year. You're right. When the basketball schools are good at football, the Big 12 top to bottom is hard to beat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and even like Texas Tech, I don't know if you could blow Texas Tech out. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point.
Like this year,
Iowa State is the last place team. You can't blow them out.
Yeah, I don't think you can blow Iowa State out. Yeah.
That's all you can do to beat them. Somehow they just keep finding ways to lose them. One score game. They did beat West Virginia last week, but and of course the SEC has the most quality top, the deepest top, I guess. I mean, you got Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Alabama. I mean, what top four teams in another conference is beating those top 4 teams?
Yeah.
That's true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, SEC is the deepest top in middle, probably. But Vanderbilt is as bad as they come.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's bad.
Okay, moving on. Back to the ACC. Clemson got thumped by Notre Dame. Cashed that Notre Dame ticket. I saw it coming a mile away, knew it. Clemson, now they come back home, hosting Louisville, who's quietly playing pretty well. Malik Cunningham. I think Louisville gives them all they want, and I'm going to take Louisville +7 at Clemson.
I like it. I'm going to go to your Big 12 conference, and I'm going to go Oklahoma State at home against Iowa State, +1.5. It's in Stillwater. And I think Oklahoma State rights the ship after 2 rough weeks, 48-0 to K-State, and then you lose to the other Sunflower team there, Kansas 37-16. I think Oklahoma State rights the ship. I think they're the better team than Iowa State. Iowa State does play good defense. I think Oklahoma State is the better team, and they're getting 1.5 points. Give me Oklahoma State.
Spencer Sanders is going to play, I would assume.
Yeah.
Then they're definitely the better team. But Iowa State plays such good defense. I don't want to see Mike Gundy Jr., or whatever his first name is.
Oh, yeah, no.
I don't want to see him against that defense. But I think Spencer Sanders is playing. All right, I got a total for you. Army and Troy, under 46. Now, I gave out the Army Air Force over last week. That didn't even come close. A bad bet on my part. But I have a good reasoning to go Army, Troy, under 46 here. Troy's defensive coordinator and defensive line coach both spent the last 4 or 5 years at Army. And before that, the D coordinator was at Georgia Tech with Paul Johnson when they run the triple option. This dude, Troy has a really good defense to begin with. And this dude knows the triple option. He's going to know how to prepare for it. He's going to know they're going to be prepared. They're going to have a solid game plan. Troy's got a good defense to begin with. Army's not that explosive. I think this is low scoring. Army Troy under 46.
Okay. Army Troy. Yeah, I had the under, or I had the over last week too, man. That didn't.
This was a bad pick by your boy Creta.
Yeah, that's okay.
I thought Air Force was a machine. Apparently, the machine was broken.
Yeah, they were missing a couple cogs, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Let's go over to that terrible ACC conference. We got Pittsburgh at Virginia. Pitt -4.5. I like them to cover. I think Virginia loses the last week's North Carolina. North Carolina gives up an I don't care touchdown late. Really cost me there. I think Pittsburgh beats them by 4.5, whatever you can get it at. I like Pittsburgh at Virginia.
Yeah, I had that. That was on my list. I cut it, but it's good. I like it. Virginia's just so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So glad I got that season win total under on Virginia. Under 7.5 was taking money, or 8.5. I don't know. It was 7 or 8. They were terrible. Big 12. Like I said, Baylor's been on a roll. They cashed money for me last week, beating Oklahoma. I think they've won like 4 in a row. They've been hot. They're hosting Kansas State this week. Baylor -2.5. I think Kansas State, a little disappointed they lost last week. I think Baylor is peaking at the right time. I think the Bears stay hot. Give me the Bears at home against Kansas State -2.5.
I almost took, you talk about scratching bets. I almost took North Carolina Wake Forest, and then I remembered how terrible North Carolina's done me. So
Wake Forest has been bad too.
Yeah, I'm going to go to my game, and a game that I'm going to call pick that I'm going to call Second Mortgage. Take out a second mortgage and put it on LSU, and here's why. We already know how good a coaching job Brian Kelly has done. Okay. It is a rivalry game. Several years, Arkansas has had no business even being on the field with LSU and has beaten them. This is not one of those years. We are going to be down. I think it's a safety and a wide receiver, because after the Liberty game, went out on Dixon Street, got a little trouble, suspended for 1 game. Big buzz is KJ Jefferson is about 50-50 whether or not he's going to play.
Ooh.
He's injured. I think with KJ Jefferson, it's a close game. LSU, I still think, covers 3. Without KJ Jefferson, I think LSU runs away with it.
Yeah.
So, second mortgage pick right here, LSU -3.5 at Arkansas.
My concern would be kind of what you said. I mean, Arkansas, this is a huge rivalry. Maybe why Arkansas looked so bad last week, maybe they were a little look ahead to LSU. And if that's the case, and then LSU also just had that huge emotional home win against Alabama, could it be the perfect storm where Arkansas is like super ready, prepared for LSU? LSU is flat, Arkansas upset. I mean, you're the Arkansas guy. Do you see that happening? I worry about that.
Not with a healthy KJ Jefferson. I might take Arkansas +3.5. With a 50-50 KJ Jefferson, I mean, you saw what he did against Liberty. He's floating balls. He's not very accurate.
He did not look
with KJ Jefferson that's not healthy. I don't like our chances.
Yeah. Going for 2. He went for 2 there at the end.
He was down.
He was down. Yeah, we talked about it after the game. You called me. He was definitely down.
He was down.
But you got to get in there, KJ.
Yeah.
6'5", 250 pounds.
You just got to keep going.
You got to get in, man. Be the low man. He was not the low man. He got his legs taken out.
And I'm just like, man, I don't know. But, yeah, I like LSU -3.5.
I mean, if LSU's ready to play, yeah, second mortgage it is.
Yeah.
It's college kids. I don't know how much I worry about. It's hard to quantify, but I worry about the LSU letdown and the Arkansas looked ahead, and it's time to ready. And
Mhm.
if KJ doesn't play, that's all out the window.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
I
you're
don't
still in
think
money.
he'll.
If you get it at 3.5, you're still in money. If he doesn't
Yeah,
play. All right, sticking in the SEC, you got the Auburn Tigers hosting the Texas A&M Aggies. Things have not been going well for the old Ags.
no, they
Lost.
haven't.
They had a case of the flu and injuries. Lost at home to Florida. Now they're going on the road to Auburn. Auburn fired their coach, and they got Cadillac Williams. And I don't know if you saw him at late last Saturday night against Mississippi State. I mean, this cat, I mean, he is a ball of energy. He
Dude.
got one of them long towels. He's firing them up. He don't act like a head coach. He acts like one of the get back guys, like one of the
Yeah,
strength
yeah.
guys.
Get back on the side, back on the side.
He's just constant, animated. But Auburn put with a lot of energy and almost upset Mississippi State last week. And the way
So bad that Mike Leach folded all the chairs up because he said his team didn't deserve to sit down.
he's a classic.
Love that guy.
He's the best. So things aren't going good for the Aggies. You hear? I mean, just things are not going well
Mm-mm.
over there. Auburn, I think, has energy with with Cadillac Williams filling in. Give me Auburn Tigers -1.5. The team with energy. I'll take the team with energy at home. I think Auburn has something to play for. Part of me thinks A&M. A lot of those guys have cashed it in.
They may have.
That second half against Florida, I think a lot of these dudes have cashed it in.
I just don't know why
Auburn's got the energy.
I haven't cared to research it, but I don't know why Jimbo's not playing that 5-star.
Well, apparently, so there's rumors. He didn't play last week for the reason A&M gave you, and then the reason the internet said, which I don't know.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it, because I would love to hear this after what I thought was a career move. I thought a genius career move by Jimbo to play that kid against Alabama. But
so the reason they said he didn't play was because he had the flu. And the case of the flu ran through the A&M line.
Mhm.
So that's what they said. But there's been people, and I can't even say credit because it could just be stuff people are making up, that he got a concussion that last drive. I wasn't able to watch them against Ole Miss. I was just keeping up with it on my phone. But apparently there was a hit or something, but Jimbo ran him back out there and he kept playing or something. So the internet says they think he had a concussion, and that's why he didn't play. A&M said he had the flu. So I don't know. I would expect he plays Saturday. I hadn't heard
he's got to play.
Unless he's lingering concussion.
Unless he really has a concussion.
Lingering a flu or whatever, and you don't season. Because A&M's got to win out to make a bowl game. I mean, I think if he's healthy, you play him. Absolutely. By far, he's only played one game, but he was by far your best option.
By far the best quarterback they've got on the roster, even with a concussion and the flu and one arm. So
yeah. So it could be Hayes King, but still, even if he plays, I like Auburn with the energy.
Yeah,
Auburn Tigers.
I think Auburn. Cadillac's one of those guys, man. I bet he's so much fun. And he's one of those guys that as you walk through your school Hall of Fame, your athletic Hall of Fame there, you see him, he's up on the wall. You're like, that's you. He's like, yeah, that's me, and I look, I did it. I'm not one of these guys that didn't do it. And, I can tell you how to do it. He's like, I did it, so
he was electric, man.
He and Ronnie Brown, man.
Jason Campbell was quarterback. Cadillac Williams,
Ronnie Brown,
dude.
Carlos Rodgers. They had 4. Carlos Rodgers at corner.
Talk about one of the biggest snubs of all time. Auburn goes undefeated in the toughest conference, the SEC, and they don't go to that was back when it was the BCS. It's Oklahoma and USC, and Auburn got left out.
Yeah, and then Oklahoma got drummed.
And it was like a 40-point game. USC beats them by 40. What a snub of Auburn.
Yeah, that was a good Auburn team. Yeah, I bet Cadillac's fun.
3 first-round draft picks in the backfield. Anyway, all right. You got any more picks?
I got one more.
Okay.
and this was a last-minute change-up. It kind of goes against what I said earlier, but I just said, forget it. Let's just do it. Sunday, 3:25, Dallas Cowboys on the road at the Green Bay Packers. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go Dallas -4.5. Let's take it. Let's just cover. Let's go in there and stomp these guys. Let's do it.
I'll be rooting for you. I don't. It's
Let's
hard
do
for
it.
me to get there, but I just have Aaron Rodgers nightmares.
Yeah. I mean, me too, buddy. We went over all the reasons, but I just said, yeah, forget it. You know what?
Just
Why
I don't
not?
care. I'm doing it.
I don't care. I'm doing
We
it.
could blow them out. I mean, they're terrible this year. I mean, they're
I'm gonna
awful.
jump off the roof with cardboard box wings, see if I can fly. I catch a little updraft. I might glide a little while, or I might break my legs. We'll
Tough for me
see.
to get there, but I'll be rooting for you, buddy.
Let's do it. Dallas -4.5.
I'll be
Go
rooting for you
Cowboys.
because the Packers could play the game of their life. The Cowboys could beat them by a field goal, and you'd still lose that bet. But
Oh,
I mean, come on, Cowboys by a touchdown.
come on, Cowboys. Let's make this double digits. Leave no doubt.
Leave
No doubt.
Man, maybe Aaron Rodgers throws a couple pick sixes.
Remember the Titans. Run that score up, Herman. Leave no doubt.
Yeah.
That's what. Run that score up, McCarthy. Leave no doubt.
All right.
And that's another thing. You know, old Magic Mike probably wants to beat the Packers pretty bad. So let's see. Let's, run it
How
up.
about that? No one's talking. I hadn't heard anybody talk about that angle. Totally forgot about McCarthy, ex-Packer, and Rodgers. Yeah, he's going to want to beat him. And he had 2 weeks to prepare for him.
Yeah.
He's
Let's
probably
do
got his chops. All right. I like it. I like it even better now, Jimmy.
Let's do it.
Into
Let's go.
I could see it. 2 weeks to prepare, off a bye, the McCarthy angle. But part of me, though, McCarthy's
yeah.
the guy. He might have been overcomplicating shit.
Yeah.
He just overcomplicating it for 2 weeks, just overcoaching for 2 weeks. He probably smashed so many watermelons in the last.
And then
to motivate these dudes.
we're going to lose 17-6.
Yeah.
But you know what? Till it happens, let's
We're
go.
gonna be running all these trick plays on third
Yeah.
down.
We're gonna really turn Kellen Moore loose. So yeah. Let's just see it. Let's go. Dallas -4.5.
2 weeks to prepare against Rodgers and his old team. I could see him overthinking it. Golly.
Yeah.
Be rooting for you, buddy. Go Cowboys.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right. We need a super weekend. A Horns, Hogs, Cowboys super victory weekend.
Let's do it.
All right. That's where we're
Goes against my second mortgage pick, but whatever. We'll be homeless if we beat LSU.
You can move in with me, bud.
All right. Perfect.
Y'all can stay in the West Wing.
That'll work.
All right. See you, buddy. Have a good one.
Hey, see you.